You are now tuned into the Panther Nation podcast.
Gallup fires to an open Smith. Steve Smith is going to go all the way. No flag down. Smith scores, and the Carolina Panthers win in overtime. He's intercepted by Keekly. Keekly inside the 20 to the 10 and to the end zone for another Panthers.
All right, we're here. It's time to talk about your fantasy options for week number 5 in the NFL. So, I anticipate, hopefully a lot of you guys are at least 2-2. Hopefully you're not 0-4. I have a league that I'm 0-4, and it's and I said this a few weeks ago. I'm not panicking when you're 0-1 or 0-2, not even at 0-3. But once you hit 0-4, you got to make an executive decision whether you want to blow the team up or if you want to blow the team up or if you want to try to run this course. And I'll probably show you my 0-4 situation so you can see my struggle. I'm leaning towards blowing it up. And I've already got some trades in the queue that I might consider taking. So we could talk about trades and things of that nature. And maybe I'll go through my thought process when it comes to doing trades. Who would be a higher waiver wire? Chase Edmonds or Corey Davis? It all depends on what you need, dude. Like, if you need a running back, then it's Edmonds. If you need a wide receiver, it's Davis. If you need a flex play now, I'm leaning towards Davis. But I'm stunned that he's still there. I would think he would be there in 10-teamers, but not like not like 12-team. Edmonds being available isn't shocking. I ended up dropping him recently. I dropped him last week before he went off, which is an unfortunate turn of events. Yeah, Bonifant is on IR, so that helps the value of Mike Davis a lot. Because I had a trade. I'm going to show you some trades that I got in my queue too, and we can try to go over a couple of them. But I was planning on trading Mike Davis away until I saw that news. Edmonds would be a steal if Drake gets injured. Yeah, that's true. But, how long are you going to wait on Edmonds? But then you ask yourself again, if you're trying to pick up a waiver right now for somebody that you potentially need to play this upcoming week, Corey Davis is the answer. You could probably grab Edmonds later. But you ain't kidding about it being real. I will say it's not the fantasy game has been treacherous for me this year. And I'm just trying to battle through it, get through it, But to say that it was treacherous, it's been treacherous is an intense understatement to say the least. But overall, I'm kind of like, considering how I started. In most of my leagues, I'm in a good spot. I'm in a pretty good spot. I started really slow, and I have a couple leagues that are 2-2, and I got a couple of leagues that are, I got one that's 0-4. I got one that's 1-3. Typically, when I get to the point of 0-4, that's when you have to start thinking about making moves. Henderson and Wilson did absolutely nothing. Yeah, Henderson cost me some dough because I was heavy with him on daily, but then again I was heavy with Drake too. So between him and Drake, they both cost me some dough. Yeah, man, Bonifant's on IR. I'm wondering if that was a safety measure to protect him since he can no longer be activated from the practice squad. So that gives the team a little bit of time if they want to sign him. So that's going to be interesting to say the least. All right. So I'm going through what's funny? I played Ridley in 2 different leagues last night. And I anticipated I was going to lose both of them. One of them was because there was no way I was going to win because my team was terrible. That's the one that was 0-4. The other one, I thought I accepted I was going to lose because I had Kelsey and my opponent had Ridley, and I was like down by like 5 or 6 points going into Monday night. So I was like, I was down 10. I was down 10 points or something to that effect. And I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to keep up with Ridley with Kelsey. And it worked out because Ridley got nothing, which was insane. Well, I would never trust Nick Mullins. Let's be clear. I'm not trusting Nick Mullins at all. So from that standpoint, I wasn't like, I'm all set with these San Francisco quarterbacks. And what's up, Randazza? Shout out to you. They'll probably say, I agree with you, Slim. I think they will sign somebody, but that also fuels Mike Davis for the next 2 weeks, which is why I'm very hesitant in taking a trade. I mean, I still might pull the trigger because I might try to. Right now I'm in the middle of trying to negotiate stuff. I'm going to show you some of the trades I got. First, I'll start with showing you my squad, and then we'll transition to the trade. He was a game time decision, but they announced that he was going to play way before kickoff, way before inactives were announced. But even with that, like, I watched some of the game, man. Ridley dropped a lot of passes, bro. He dropped a touchdown pass, which was like that cost me in the picks pool that I'm in. Because if he would have caught that pass, they would have been within my points range, and I would have won the picks pool. Because there was like a 10-way tie for first place, and it comes down to points. So I picked 54 points for the teams, and if he would have scored that touchdown, it would have been at 53, and 53 would have been in the sweet pot. I would have tied with somebody, but I would only have to split the pot with one other person. But yeah, Calvin Ridley was a game time decision. And it's insane. And Julio's going to Cancun. Yeah, Julio. Yeah. I'm gonna show you my squad for my 0-4 team, man. And I'll go through my thought process of why I made certain decisions throughout the draft. And then, I mean, the 0-4 squad is a string of bad luck. But I'll go over it. But yeah, man, really lost a few folks a game. Lost a lot of people games. Chiefs D did clock in. Yeah, that actually did happen to me. That happened to me in the in my frat league. I lost by a 1/10 of a point. It was very demoralizing. I did lose before because the QB took a knee. That has happened to me before. And it was like it was an early celebration, and then the quarterback took a knee, and that was that. It was Carson Palmer. I'll never forget it. Week 1 of the season. It was the most traumatizing loss I've ever had. No, it's second. The most traumatizing loss I had was when Antonio Brown quarter TD. When Antonio Brown had a TD that was called back because he stepped out of bounds. That was traumatizing. Top waiver ads. Let's see. Justin Jackson for the Chargers. Because Austin Eckler's out for 6 weeks. I think Josh Kelly is going to split the carries with Justin Jackson. Justin Jackson is available in a plethora of leagues. So he's a top guy. Let me pull up my list real quick. Bear with me while I consider my options here. Because I literally just walked into the door from work. I've only been home for about 30 minutes, so it's been a crazy day to say the least. But let me see here. I think Teddy Bridgewater. It's time for Mr. Bridgewater to unleash himself, so to speak. Good night, Amari.
Good night, Daddy.
I'll see you tomorrow. Mind your business. Good night.
Good night.
See ya.
Who are you talking to?
I'm doing my show.
Who are you talking to?
I'm talking to a lot of people.
I know a lot of people that I don't know. Are they my uncles?
Huh?
Are they my uncles?
They're not your uncles. See ya, buddy. So yeah, Justin Jackson is absolutely my top pickup for today. If T. Higgins is around, he's probably my top wide receiver. Damian Harris from the Patriots is an interesting one as well. He had a pretty good day. If you can stomach bringing on a Patriots ad, I actually am going to have to put a waiver wire in for him because my running back situation is that treacherous that I might have to go after him and potentially start him because I lost Eckler. So for me, the rankings for me would be Jackson. Jackson, if you have Eckler, he's got to be your top guy. If you have a little bit of time to wait, I would say Damian Harris. Because I think Damian Harris might potentially take the role that Sony Michel had. If you need a tight end badly, there's Dalton Schultz. If you're in a little bit of a wait period because Nick Chubb is hurt with the MCL injury, the Ernest Johnson is the running back for the Browns. You could definitely try to look into him. I think the Browns always wants to have a 2 running back system, so you could potentially start this guy in your flex as long as Nick Chubb is out. So you got D'Ernest Johnson for Cleveland. A lot of folks have been talking about Hunter Renfro. I talked about Hunter Renfro last week. If he's available, you should consider it. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin still being out and still being banged up. That opens up the door for Scotty Miller. He's available in a lot of leagues. Brady just threw for 5 TDs. I dropped Brady a few weeks ago. He might be available in your waiver wire. Consider Brady if you need a quarterback. Consider Teddy Bridgewater if you need a quarterback. Consider Ryan Fitzpatrick if you need a quarterback. You have a lot of options with regards to that. Gardner Minshew still available. If you want to roll with the Rook, you got Justin Herbert. So there's a lot of, the waiver wire can be plentiful at times depending on what you want. So you can make your decision based on that. Well, for me, man, I'm not a believer in keeping more than one quarterback on my roster at a time unless I'm picking one up for a bye week. I'll occasionally keep 2, like in keeper leagues, I might keep 2, but I only keep 1 because I think a quarterback is a wasted spot a quarterback on the bench is a wasted spot in my opinion. Breeze, I have Breeze in a league. I have sat him for Joe Burrow. I don't think he has the arm strength anymore. I think he'll probably still end up being a top 12 QB, but there's probably somebody that's going to end up being a top 10 QB sitting on the wire. So there's some startable folks. Thanks, it's DRT. I really appreciate that. Do I do Juju and AJ Brown and Josh Kelly for Michael Thomas? Do you have to give up that much? How long is Michael Thomas might not even be back next week? If you really want Michael Thomas that bad, I don't have an issue with it. I think you need to. I'm hoping that you have other wide receivers and other running backs to consider it. So I would do it. I think he's crazy to do it, but if it all depends on the thing about trades that I think people fail to realize. It's about what your roster looks like. If you can give up. If you want a guy and you're willing to give up that capital and you only sacrifice some depth, I'm for it. But if you out here starting, if you don't have good wide receivers as it is, I wouldn't do it. I have Antonio Gibson and Keenan Allen as a flex in a 12 per. If this is a 12, man, you might be giving up too much. I mean, did somebody offer you that trade, or is that something you're going to try to offer somebody else? Yeah, I'm going to segue to the trade that I have because that situation with Robbie Anderson versus DJ Moore is where I'm at. Rashad did a pretty good job looking at the targets and the percentage of accuracy of the receivers for those targets, and I'm right now at the point where I'm ready to say Robbie over DJ at this point. I can't trust DJ Moore anymore. He isn't efficient enough in getting these catches popping, which is very unfortunate because I spent some draft capital on him. But yeah, man, it's kind of crazy to think about what's going on with regards to that. Oh, well, yeah, you should pull the trigger. I'm just concerned about your depth because you're pretty much trading away your depth. If you think to do it. No, I'm there, man. DJ Moore's been crushing me pretty bad. Like, you know, I started him again this week and he didn't do nothing again. So like I'm done. Like I'm done trying to rate. I want to have faith in him. He's getting the targets. That's the thing, man. He's getting the targets you want in a wide receiver one, but he isn't executing with the targets that he has. It's not turning into what I need it to turn into. But let's see here. All right, I want to pull up my we can talk about our league, and then I'm going to pull up my 0-4 squad so you guys can get a kick out of it. So give me 1 second while I do this. Do. All right, let's see. Another running back, if you depending on your situation, is Jamal Williams from Green Bay. Last night he got some work. Even though, you know, Aaron Jones is by far the number one guy, Jamal Williams is still getting close to 10 touches a game. So I mean that's teetering towards flex. And if Aaron Jones gets hurt, he's going to get the bulk of the work. So you can consider those two things. I mean, that's a viable option as well. Oh, it's a 3-way trade. All right, yeah, I would pull it. I would try to pull the trigger if you can do it. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm gonna pull up. We're gonna go ahead and make this thing convert. All right, so here's the. Let me know if you guys can't see the screen. Here's the podcast league, and here are the standings for said podcast league. We got 2 undefeated teams, and we got 2 teams that are 3-1. I'm sitting here at 2-2. Considering my circumstances, I can't be mad at it. All right, awesome, thanks. So, you know, OVO Simp is out here doing his thing. More Life is doing his thing. My buddy Marcus is doing his thing. Pat ain't playing around with us, man. You know, so good for Pat. I'm glad he turned it around. I'm glad he's I mean, I know he took it seriously last year, but I think he's having some. He drafted. I gave him grief for taking Mahomes early, but it's working out for him. He's 3-1, so you can't be mad at that. So when we look at what happened last week, I beat Big Baller Brand. Slim, I had to do it to you, bro. These are the breaks. Josh Allen and Chris Carson and Zeke did their thing, to say the least. OVO Simp is doing well. Got his winning with Scottish Claymores. Marcus team is a terror out here scoring 175 points. And look at Train Stop barely eking one out. And More Life staying undefeated. I thought about upping the playoff count to 6 teams. Let me know what you guys think about it. If I do that, we'll add in it. I gotta see if I don't know if I'll be able to pull that off. But I thought about upping it to 6 teams. Folks that are in the league, let me know what your thoughts are about that. If not, I can leave it at 4. But yeah, man. Yeah, Fuller's so Jekyll and Hyde with it. But the problem is too is that who is Deshaun Watson going to throw to? That's part of the issue as well. Like, who is Deshaun Watson going to throw to with regards to that? But like, you know, the league is pretty competitive, and I can't be mad at that. With regards to next week, I have to play Tony. But I'm projected to win that one. Tony, man, I don't want to have to do it to you, man. But I'm going to have to do it to you, sir. That's just the way it's going to be. Scottish Claymores is playing Noli. Big Baller Brand, you might end up being 2-3, buddy. I hope you can get out of this funk. Get out of this funk a little bit. Don't want you to start streaking. Marcus is playing no idea. I see what he did there. Run CMC is playing Fly Like Jolie Sly. And more. This is probably the game of the week right here. More Life versus Train Stop. More Life versus Pat. That's going to be a good one. You know. Hopefully we can get the undefeateds to take an L. Because now that I'm not, right now I'm out of the playoffs, so I got to get a win so I can get myself get back into this scheme of things. But nah, it should be good, man. This should be good. But, it's rough in these streets, especially now that we're going to have to deal with COVID. So I think what happened at the end of last week is a prime example of vigilance when it comes to paying attention to your roster. With the whole thing with Cam getting COVID, potentially Chiefs, Patriots was going to get postponed. Luckily, they still ended up playing Monday night. It looks like the Titans are going to be able to play their games. They finally didn't have any cases in the building. There was concerns that they might have to postpone their next game as well. That would have been a disaster. If the Titans have to postpone 2 games, it's going to create a problem with regards to scheduling. The Titans are scheduled to play the Bills next week. It looks like we're still on pace. But these are the type of things that you now have to pay attention to. I was amazed that the Patriots was able to pull off the Monday night game yesterday, considering what was going on with Cam. Because it's kind of hard to believe that Cam didn't have other people around him that he was with. But it happened. So I'm going to show you my 0-4 team, and I'm going to show you 2 of my trades that I have. I lost last week. I'll let you see how I lost. Let me see if I can pull it up. All right. I lost last week. Let me see. Minimize that a little bit so you can see the whole team. I lost last week. This is pretty much what happened. These are the starters. I'm the team on the left. I have Dalvin Cook, Mike Davis. I played DJ Moore. That was a mistake. Julio Jones. That was a mistake. Julio killed me. Higbee didn't do what I needed him to do. Montgomery didn't do what I needed to do. Broncos defense did okay. Robbie Gould was a disaster. I thought Gould would have done better than he did. I ended up losing by 9 points. But I left Mr. Gibson on the bench, which was very unfortunate. I'm not going to leave him on the bench anymore. Yeah, I'm 0-4 with that, bro. But look at my bench. The bench speaks volumes. Chris Godwin, out. Le'Veon Bell, out. I made a mistake by not playing Gibson. That would have probably been the difference. But prior to Monday night, I had no shot. I was already done from that standpoint. At that point, I was already down. I was down 16 points. Yeah, I was down 16 points, and my opponent had Ridley, and I had Julio Jones. I already accepted I was going to lose, but then it freaking was a crushing blow because Ridley didn't get any points, and Julio only got me 7. So I had an opportunity to win this. But yeah, you'll be surprised how things work out. And the thing that makes it even worse, I'm bottom 3 in scoring in this league. I'm bottom 4 in scoring in this league. So I've made a decision that I want to blow this team up. But yeah, so, I made a decision that I want to blow the team up, but at the same time, I'm not going to give my players away. So I'm going to show you 2 trades that have come in since I said I wanted to blow my team up. I pretty much told the entire league that my entire squad's on the block. Anybody you want, send me an offer, and we'll try to figure it out. There's 2 trades that I'm looking at. One trade I'm considering, another trade that's definitively off the table. So I'm going to show that to you right now. So let's go to my team. Since I'm already here, let me go ahead and I already made the proper adjustments. I'm going to play Gibson. I'm worried about Julio. I don't want to play 2 Panthers at this rate, especially since DJ Moore has been disappointing across the board. It doesn't look like Julio's going to play. So if Julio doesn't play, that means I'm going to be relegated to either play Gallup or AJ Green or Corey Davis. Corey Davis is playing against Buffalo. They have a pretty damn good secondary. I don't think I want to go with that. AJ Green is playing Baltimore. They have a pretty good defense. Don't know if I want to go with that. AJ Green might have been relegated to the third option. I'm starting to believe that the order of operations when it comes to the wide receivers in Cincinnati is Boyd, Higgins, Green, in that order. So Green is almost pretty much droppable in my eyes. And I haven't decided who I'm going to drop yet for my wire, but Green is absolutely a candidate. Michael Gallup is probably what I'm going to end up with because he's going up against the Giants. In a perfect world, I would love to be able to do this. Let me show you what I would love to do. This would be nice. You know, because I drafted Julio and Godwin back to back, thinking I was going to be able to get some work in. That would be a great starting lineup that I could roll with. But unfortunately, these two folks might not play. So because those two folks won't play, I thought about getting Alshon Jeffrey, but in this league I don't think I'm like that desperate at the position, but I have considered it. I definitely have considered it. So let me put Gallup and Moore back in. Even though I don't want to play Moore, but my hands are tied. I don't have much of a choice. I'm going to check the wire and see what my options are in this league. But let me show you my two trades that I got. All right, so I got two pending moves in here. We'll start with this one. All right, this trade here. I would get Miles Sanders, Marquise Brown, and Julian Edelman. But I would have to trade away Dalvin Cook and DJ Moore. I'll show you. I'll go over waivers in this league in a minute. That's not a problem. I want to do the trades first. Alshon Jeffrey's probably a week or two away. And I think they need him back more because more of their receivers are getting hurt in Philadelphia. So this is the trade. I want to see what you guys think about this trade. So, like, I would get Miles Sanders, Hollywood Brown, Julian Edelman, but I have to give up Dalvin Cook and DJ Moore. So I want to see what folks thought. Kylie Black Cat said, "Don't do that trade." You know, I think there's always a perception when you're 0-4 that you're desperate. But, you know, I've never felt desperate in a league, even when I start terribly. Because even though I'm 0-4, and in this league we play 12 weeks, so a third of the league is done and I haven't won a game yet, I still have 8 weeks. I can legitimately win the next 8 games and go 8-4. 8-4 is good enough to make the playoffs. 7-5 is good enough to make the playoffs. So I'm not out of the wins, but I don't have too much room for error at this rate. I can't give up Cook. Like, I'm willing to give up Cooks if the value's right. Like, I mean, Miles Sanders has been picking it up, but the problem with Miles Sanders is, I mean, he's played hurt. Hold on, let me go back because that's not what I want. Not what I want. All right, that's not what I want. I want to see the weekly stats. The weekly stats, where we at? Show more. That's what I want to see. So, but like, he had RB1 numbers here. That's kind of 14 points is like teetering on RB2 numbers. 9 points is pretty pathetic, but he played against San Francisco. But Pittsburgh's defense isn't a slouch either. And then when you look at the rest of it, Baltimore. See, the schedule matters too, right? Baltimore, the Giants, that should be a cakewalk. Dallas, bye. Giants, Cleveland, Seattle, Green Bay. I can't, with the next set of, like, I have to win these games, so I can't risk that with him. Marquise Brown, I like Marquise Brown, but he hasn't really been doing much himself, really. He had one good game. Actually, he hasn't really had a big game, so to speak. Lamar Jackson hasn't been giving him as many targets as he has in the past, so that's an issue in itself, right? And then you have Julian Edelman. Julian Edelman overall has been doing okay. Wide receiver 2 status, but the last 2 weeks have been brutal. 4 points, 6 points, brutal. Cam's out, problematic. So, And he's probably going to be out next week as well. Can't do it. So I'm not really getting anything that's going to help me right now. So with regards to this trade, I can't do it. I would love to get rid of DJ Moore, but not with Dalvin Cook. I think a more tradable type of thing, if I can do like more for Edelman, I'm willing to do that. More for even Marquise Brown, I'm even kind of willing to do that. I would probably counter to remove Cook and take Sanders out the trades and do more for Marquise Brown and Edelman because of my wide receivers woes. But at the same time, it's not that deep. Edelman's getting enough target share, but the problem is the quarterback play is going to be an issue next week because of Hoyer. Hoyer looked bad, so bad he got benched for Stidham, and Stidham ain't ready either. And to think that there were media outlets in New England that legitimately thought that Cam Newton wasn't going to win that job, which is insane to me. But I digress. So I'm going to go ahead and decline this trade. I'm not going to even bother making it even a consideration. Which players are causing you to decline this? Dalvin Cook. And I'll trade DJ Moore for Edelman. Edelman or Hollywood. But you have to give more if you want Dalvin Cook. Should I decline and counter, folks? Moore is better than Hollywood, but I think sometimes I can get tired of a person. I'm not doubting that Moore is better than Hollywood, but the problem I'm having is that Edelman, I just want to flip it. I just want to change it up a little bit. And the fact that I've been playing Mike Davis, I want to diversify a bit. So I take that into consideration too. When I'm in that phase of blowing the team up, I'm willing to take some level of risk. No, I mean, sometimes trades are also about just trying to change up the vibe of your squad. Like you kind of just want to change the vibe of your squad a bit. I think we're going to air it out Sunday. That's great and all, but airing it out don't mean anything if DJ Moore is catching at a 60% clip. I need him to catch closer to an 80%. Edelman and Hollywood don't make you better. It doesn't, but at the same time, DJ Moore ain't making me better either. So I need to change this up a bit. You know what I'm saying? Like I can argue DJ Moore has cost me two of my weeks. Easily. 2 of my weeks, I probably can blame it on DJ Moore. Yeah, if he goes crazy. You know, I mean, for me, sometimes it's about just letting it go. Like I've traded folks who just say, all right, I'm tired of the patience. And the thing is, you can get frustrated with a player to the point that you're ready to drop him. But I can't drop Moore. and it doesn't make sense to drop Moore. But I don't want to start him. The only reason why I'm starting him now is because I don't have any other options at receiver. You know? I think DJ's going to eventually go off. I'm not doubting it. So maybe I'll say and Hollywood. See how he reacts. I'll just decline it. Ooh. All right. So I'll just decline that trade. I mean, I'm probably gonna have to. The thing is, though, I'm going to have to play him next week anyway because if Godwin and but what'll happen is Godwin. I already know how this is gonna go down for me because this is the type of luck I've had in this league. Godwin or Jones are going to be available, and I'm going to end up playing them over Moore, and Moore is going to go off. I already see how this is going to go down. Like, I already envision it. That's how it's going to end up. One of those guys, either Godwin or Julio is going to be available. I'm going to say, all right, I'm going to play them over DJ Moore. DJ Moore goes off on my bench. and then I'm gonna then I'll really be gonna be willing to trade. But the problem with that is there's no guarantee I'm gonna get any better value than that. Now, let me show you my second trade, because the thing is, if that costs me the game and I go 0-5, then my trades aren't gonna get any better. You follow me? Because the other owners in the leagues are gonna try to leverage the fact that you're 0-5. So you're not gonna. It's difficult to get some level of fair value. So you got to get as close to fair value as you can. Yeah, Godwin is going to be out, but Julio might not be, even though it is a short week. But we'll play it by ear. The next one, now here's a trade that I'm considering. I would get Ronald Jones II, Debo Samuel, Jonathan Taylor, and Robbie Anderson. And he would get Gibson, Gallup, Mike Davis. Now, the thing that you got to think about this one is the fact that the whole situation with Mike Davis, with the news that Bonafonte's on IR. Because now that Bonafonte's on IR, that means Mike Davis is going to get a lot of work for the next couple weeks until McCaffrey comes back. So, because of that changed my opinion on this trade a little bit. Because now Mike Davis is going to get a lot of work. So Mike Davis could potentially help me win the next few weeks. Mike Davis is a good start as an RB2. I mean, look what Mike Davis has done. Let's look at Mike Davis real quick. Mike Davis, in a PPR league, he got 21 points last week against Arizona, and he got 22 points the week before that. That's RB1 numbers right there. He's probably doing better as an RB2. Like, to put it in perspective, Dalvin Cook got me 28. So Mike Davis is a top 12 play this week against Atlanta. No, I'm with you. There isn't any value, but the question is, all right, so let's look at my options here. Ronald Jones the second. Ronald Jones, he did pretty well last week. But we know this is going to go away once Fournette comes back. I got to do some research on how long Fournette's going to be out. So I got to do some... So, like, if Fournette might play next week, Ronald Jones is a dud. Because he's not going to help me as long as Fournette's there. I can't start him. You know what I'm saying? I can't start Fournette. I can't start him if Fournette's there. You know, and you got to remember the situation at hand. I'm 0-4. I got to start getting some wins. I can't be on the almost doesn't count steez at this point. I got to start getting wins. So even if I have to stretch it for 2 weeks and then try to move somebody else, then that's what I'll probably do. All right. Debo Samuel. This guy, Debo Samuel only got 7 points last week. I need to check and see how many targets he got last week. He only got 3 targets last week. That's not good. I can't start Debo Samuel. Debo will be on my bench. I can't do nothing with that. Can't help me next week. You know what I'm saying? So, but this trade here. I don't know why my mouse isn't moving. That's not good. This trade right here. Hold on. My mouse is acting up. Give me a second, fellas. I don't know what's going on with my mouse. All right. There we go. I don't know. Maybe it was dead. This trade right here makes it only pretty much a 2 for 3. Because Ronald Jones and Debo Samuel ain't really buying me much of anything. I mean, I would be picking up Debo off potential. But I can't. Being 0-4 means you can't be picking people off. You can't be trading for people off potential. You got to trade for people off of what they've already done and future results. All right. So the next one is Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor, I could really utilize him. He had a rough week last week. He's probably going to have a rough week this week against Cleveland. But he's getting the carries. 17 carries. So I like my options here. He's not for a running back. He's not really a PPR running back, which can be problematic, right? So from that standpoint, we have to take that into consideration. All right, hold on one second, guys. So when you take that into consideration, I like Taylor. I could start Taylor. He's a downgrade over Mike Davis right now. But if we're going for the long ball, it might not be a bad idea. So Taylor's valuable from that aspect. Now, Robbie Anderson is the next guy, and I like Robbie a lot, man. Robbie's a top 10 wide receiver right now in fantasy right now, believe it or not. So like Robbie is the crown jewel of this trade. Robbie can fix my wide receiver situation. And this guy is part of the reason why I can probably gain some value with this trade. So some other thing, I like Robbie Anderson and Jonathan Taylor are the jewels of this trade. The other two people are just wastes for me. But the problem is I've already talked to him about potentially pulling Gibson back and giving him Mike Davis and Gallup, but he doesn't want just Mike Davis. So maybe I can take Davis off, keep Davis, so I can at least try to get some wins for the next 2 weeks and give up Gibson and then get Robbie Anderson and Jonathan Taylor. If you need to win now, why trade Davis? Because I know in 2 weeks he's going to be gone. I have no problem trading Davis right now if I can get comparable value left for the next 2 weeks that can get me by. So, do I think I can probably get more for Davis? Sure. But I think getting Robbie Anderson would fix my wide receiver situation. Because Godwin and Julio, man, I don't think I'm going to be able to get the value that I drafted them for at this rate. So I have to start getting smarter about who I'm going to pick up. I know we're not going to rush CMC back. And with Bonifant on IR, it's going to be the Mike Davis show. So yes, Mike Davis's value is higher. That's why I'm more willing to trade away Gibson. But the thing about Gibson, man, he's starting to get the work. 13 carries, 4 receptions. So he's starting to get more targets in the backfield, which is a good sign. If Terry McLaurin is getting some targets too. So he's getting 5 targets, 13 carries. He got 5 targets, 13 carries last week. I really don't want to lose Gibson. What's up, D-Tights? But it's just tough, man. It's very... There's a level of difficulty when it comes to this to try to make the decision on if I want to pull this trade. I want to do some counters, but, when you're 0-4, your leverage is rough. And, I remember in another league where I started really slow and I was trying to trade my team. And that was at the time when Adrian Peterson was the best running back in the NFL. And when the trades that I was getting for Adrian Peterson was freaking terrible. And it got to the point where I'd rather go winless than take these trades. I'd rather try to play spoiler than take these trades. My team ended up recovering and making the playoffs. And almost pulling the upset against the top seed. That was the most traumatic loss I ever had when the Antonio Brown touchdown got taken back. If that touchdown didn't get taken back, I probably would have won the whole league. To start next week, your only option, if you're really about risk, is Damian Harris from the Patriots. But you got to remember it's a Patriots running back. And the second best option is Justin Jackson. I believe that Josh Kelly and Justin Jackson is going to share the work. And I think there's going to be more than enough work for the both of them. So, you got to pick your poison there, Miko. All right, let's see here. All right, okay. So I'm not going to decline this yet. I might decline and do a counter and see what I can get. I really don't want to give up Gibson or Davis because, truth be told, if you go back and look at my team real quick, they're helping me so I don't have to play 3 wide receivers. So I mean, I'm going to have to start DJ Moore and Gallup next week, and Gallup hasn't exactly been on a tear either. But I mean, I'm going to have to do what I need to do at this rate. I'm going to check the waiver too, and we're going to look at the waiver wire for this league just for the sake of it. To the wire. Ooh, no. Let's add some players. So the wire is a 10, by the way, 10-team league, full point PPR. So wire, let's start with the running backs. We got Dobbins, Burkhead, Madison, Carrion, Howard. Let's go by projections. Justin Jackson's out here. So he would be top of my list in this league. Between him and Damian Harris, I'll probably lean towards Jackson. So if we look at Mr. Jackson here, you know, he's projected to get 10 points. He didn't do too much last week. But I think Justin Jackson might potentially get some more work. He could potentially take over for Josh Kelly and get the bulk of the work because of his experience. So I think Justin Jackson's probably my top waiver wire. And I'll just be clear on that. He's my top guy. Damian Harris, he got a lot of work last week, man. He got a lot of work yesterday. A lot. 17 carries. No targets, though. Probably better for a non-PPR league. So they're pretty much giving him the Sony Michel role. And it looks like, and he played much better than Sony Michel. But once Michelle comes back, that's problematic. But long term, he might take the job away from him. So you can take that into account when you start talking about running backs. Let's see, who else we got here? Bonafide, he's going to IR. Don't really want to mess with him. Gurley showed some light. Gurley showed that he existed, so that's going to be an interesting one. So what 2 running backs or 3 running backs would you start? Mixon, Robinson, Connor, Mostert. Mostert's still out, ain't he, or is he coming back next week? If that's the case, it's going to be Mixon, Robinson, Connor. In the order, I would probably go Mixon, Connor, Robinson, and Mostert. If Mostert's coming back next week, though, I'll probably put Mostert at 2. So it'll be Mixon, Mostert, Connor. Any other running backs on this list I'm willing to take a chance on? Out of everybody, it'll be Jackson. Y'all were hyping up Edmonds. Oh, I didn't realize Rick got hurt enough that he might not play next week. I didn't think he got hurt to that point. Yeah, that's what makes Edmonds. So then Edmonds is interesting then. But the thing is, it's pretty much banking that Drake's going to be out. That's not a guarantee. Devontae Parker, A.J. Brown is my wide receiver too. A.J. Brown is still struggling right now. Give me Parker. I'll take Parker. So running back wise, I think my order is going to be Jackson, Harris, Edmonds, and the other kid from Cleveland, but that isn't up here. What I would consider. Can't remember his name. Oh, Deontay Johnson. That's my guy. Yeah. Deontay Johnson is more of a pickup for a speculative play because he's going to probably get some work with Chubb being out. All right. Now, no problem, man. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to help. Now, as for the wide receiver situation, Slayton, I like Slayton. He's been getting a lot of good target distribution for the Giants. Higgins, I think Higgins is the number 2 wide receiver in Cincinnati now, not A.J. Green. I think I'm willing to drop A.J. I'm willing to drop A.J. Green to pick up Higgins. Beasley's interesting, but this is the 10-team league, so some of these folks might not even be available. Slayton, if he's around, you probably should think about grabbing Slayton. Slayton's getting the targets, man. Like he had 7 targets last week. So He's got to get more efficient when it comes to catching the ball with those targets, but he's getting the targets. So, 7 targets is wide receiver 2 range. So you can't be mad at something like that. Connor, Henry, Robinson, Davis. And my order would be Derrick Henry, Mike Davis, James Conner, James Robinson. Samuel's catching balls better than DJ Moore, man. But he's not getting the same amount of targets. Samuel's getting only 4 targets. So, you can hope that he's going to get a big one. He'll take a big one to the house. But overall, man, Samuel, if he's there, you could pick him up, but I don't know if I could start him. Scotty Miller, man. Scotty Miller is going to be a problem if Godwin and Mike Evans potentially could be out. So, but he didn't practice. He didn't practice today. So the wide receiver core is not strong in Tampa Bay. Putting Brady in a bad spot, don't you think? So, but that's an option too if that's what you want to get into. So let's move on to tight end. Olsen, Ebron. Olsen's a pretty good pickup. You could probably pick up Olsen. Sample's been getting targets. Almost had a touchdown last week. 5 targets for a tight end ain't too bad. Cameron Breit. He should be able to get some type of love, since if we're going to continue to believe that Gronk is only a blocker. If we're going to continue to believe that Gronk is a blocker, then that gives opportunity to Cameron Breit. All right? So, Breit's an option here. Another one. Let's see here. Yeah, Breit. Herndon has been pretty. He hasn't been that good. I had higher hopes for Mr. Herndon, but he hasn't been doing that good, and he's not getting enough targets. But the Jets are a freaking dumpster fire, so just keep that in mind. If Jared Cook's available, I would consider a speculative ad if you need a tight end badly, but he might. It depends on whether or not he's ready to roll. He's going to probably be questionable, so just keep an eye on that. Deontay Johnson or Justin Jefferson? I like Justin Jefferson. I don't think there's any other tight ends I would touch at this rate. All right, let's go to quarterback. So we got Mr. Minshew. I still like him, man. He got 20 points last week. I like him. I like Mr. Minshew. If Tungan's available, go get him. But I don't know if Tungan's going to be around, man. I think a lot of folks took advantage of Tungan last week because of all the injuries at wide receiver in Green Bay. If he's available, I would pick him up. But I ain't see him on this list, but would you stash Jalen Hurts? I don't know if I would stash Jalen Hurts. I don't like stashing quarterbacks. It's easy to find out whether or not you want to take a chance on that, but I don't know if I would stash Jalen Hurts. Because you pretty much got to wait I don't know if Wentz is going to get benched. That's the other problem. If you have the bench space and you're willing to wait, sure, but I still think there's more valuable in trying to. I'd rather you do a speculative ad on a running back like a Damian Harris or the running back from Cleveland. I've never been a fan of speculative ads for quarterbacks. Never been a fan of that. Do we really think that Doug Peterson's job is in jeopardy right now, though? I don't think I'm part of that camp. I don't feel like I'm part of that camp. I don't think Peterson's got anything to worry about. That man just brought Philadelphia their first Super Bowl not too long ago. The Eagles don't have to do anything. They paid Wentz. See, the problem is that they paid Wentz, so he might stay in that lineup despite him. Now, if Wentz gets hurt, then it becomes interesting. But if you got the roster space, you could do it. I'm not against it. I just think it's tough. Like, I'm not a big fan of doing that. Somebody dropped Stafford in this league because he's on bye. But Tannehill's available. Tannehill's probably available in some leagues. Baker Mayfield's available in this league. I don't anticipate, but like Herbert is going to get better as the seasons go on. Bridgewater, man. Let's talk about Bridgewater, man. Just like Rashad talked about it yesterday, he's fourth in passing yards. The problem is he doesn't have enough TDs. And that's what I said during the show. From a fantasy perspective, if he can just pick the TDs up, he's the top 10 guy. You know? Because last week, he was outstanding. I mean, the worst week he had was against Tampa. He got 8 points. But when you start talking about what he did last week against Arizona, man, that's great. He ran for a touchdown. He threw for 2. He was efficient. You can't beat that. I mean, but, you know, his floor is probably around. I think even though he had this tough game against Tampa, everybody had a tough game against. That was just a tough game overall. His floor is only his floor. I mean, I would say that the 8 points here is an outlier, but his floor is probably around 14 points every week. And you can't be mad at that, you know. And which goes back to me saying that Bridgewater is the type of guy that if you drafted him and you waited to draft him, he's not a bad pickup. Teddy's going to get picked up in a lot of leagues this weekend, tomorrow. A lot of leagues. And there's nothing wrong with that. My RB1 is hurt, and I'm looking to get 2 new running backs until CMC is back from IR. I mean, when you talk about waiver wires, you could probably get some decent. You could probably get some decent value out of Russell Wilson. You probably get RB1 out of him if you got the right. You need to look at people's rosters and look at some of the teams that are having running back prop. A low end RB1 or a high end RB2 for him, for Russell Wilson. So I have no problem with you trading Russell Wilson, but who's going to be your quarterback after you let him go? I mean, waiver wire for you, you probably need to try to go get Justin Jackson off the wire, man, if you can. Justin Jackson should be your top pickup. I'm pretty sure he's available because nobody's been thinking about Justin Jackson. Everybody's been on the Eckler, Josh Kelly steez. With Justin Jackson coming back, Justin Jackson's probably your best bet. Justin Jackson, Damian Harris. But, you know, Damian's going to be Jekyll and Hyde because of the backfield that he's dealing with the Patriots. All right. You know, this was good, guys. It's about to reach that clock. It's almost 9 o'clock. If I have any more questions, put them in now. No, I'm not ready to say that. Yeah, he played yesterday. I thought he played yesterday. He's back. Whether or not he's back and good, that's a whole nother situation. I thought he played yesterday, though. Yeah, he did play yesterday. Got 10 touches. He got 3 carries, 7 catches. Can't be mad at that. If he's going to be getting 7 catches a game, he had 8 targets yesterday. If he's getting 8 targets, that's I can live with that type of flex type of work. I don't know if I can live with that. But the other situation too is that I haven't seen enough with him with Cam, but Hoyer's playing next week, so James White is somebody that could be, if he's available, that might be an option in the PPR league for sure. Oh my God, yeah, I think you could trade either one. I mean, but Russ will give you the best value that you can get out of somebody if you really want to, if you want to go that route. Myles Gaskin, I like Myles. I think the Dolphins are going to be playing from behind a lot. So when you take that into account, it's going to be tough. Let's see. Because Myles is getting some level of work. He's probably like low-end RB2 flex consideration. I mean, he got 10 carries, 3 targets, 3 receptions. He had 4 targets in the game. I mean, he's low-end RB2, high-end, low-end RB2, and he's a flex, pretty much a flex play. Myles Gaskin. Who's the other? Matt Breida. Let's see. Let's look at Mr. Breida, who's available in a lot of wires. Yeah, he got 6 touches, so it's a split backfield. Breida had 3 targets. Gaskins had 4. I think I would trust Gaskin more than Breida, though. I don't know if I'm ready to go that route. Goff's been playing pretty well. Brady had 1 good game. I don't know how long that's going to last. Brady is Jekyll and Hyde with it. But Brady is Jekyll and Hyde with it. And even though, man, Goff had a rough week last week. But he's still the 12th best quarterback. I wonder how high Brady shot up after what happened last week. Because Brady was like in the 20s last week. He shot up to 7 after what happened last week. So, I mean, I would do it. If you believe what he did the last 2 weeks is what you're going to see out of Brady long term, I would do it. I would go after Brady if you can get him. I'm not sure if I don't know if I'm a full-fledged believer yet. That's all. Any more questions before I disappear? This was good, guys. I appreciate you supporting. Appreciate you guys supporting. You can follow me on Twitter. You can pass me your fantasy questions on Twitter at champd1012. Follow the podcast on Twitter at Panther Nation PC. Subscribe to us. We're 20 subscribers away. So if you're in here, this is your first time here, please subscribe to the channel. I'm going to do this every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Help you guys out with your waivers. This guy, I just got the best trade in my career. This guy lost both of his starting quarterbacks, and I traded him Fitzpatrick for Cooper Kupp. Jesus, that's pretty good. I can't be mad at that. But that's the art of being desperate. Because I'm going to tell you what, Logan, I don't know if I would have done that looking at a wire. So let's look at I'm going to pull up, before I make my exit, let's pull up a waiver wire of a 12-team league. Let me see. I think I got. Actually, let's just pull up the one for the podcast league. So this is the 12-team PPR league. Let's look at the quarterbacks that are available. All right, you got Jimmy G in the place to be. You got Baker Mayfield. You have Rivers and Bridgewater. I would have picked up Bridgewater in a heartbeat, in a New York second, before giving up Cooper Kupp. In a New York second, I'd rather play to give up, because you got to think about what you're going to lose giving up that player. I mean, shoot, I might even be willing to pay Foles. I might be willing to go with Foles, man. But yeah, in a 12-team league, the quarterback game ain't too hot. Or you could probably potentially play Stidham if you think that Cam's not going to be back next week. But you could go with Baker. Baker would probably get you at least 13 or 14 points a week. But Bridgewater would probably be a safer bet. I think Bridgewater's floor is 14 points. So I would be more willing to roll with Bridgewater here. Bridgewater's probably available in your league. Darnold is the only option. Oh, yeah, that's brutal. Darnold, man, but there's other options. I mean, what about Brett Ripon? Ooh. But yeah. Or you can try to roll with Drew Lock. It looks like Drew Lock's coming back. But it's about what you can stomach. Well, it all depends if when Gates is going to get fired, man. I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon at this rate. But all right, man, it's 9:07. I appreciate you guys coming. This was fun. I will be doing fantasy Q&A Sunday morning prior to kickoff after inactives are announced. So I will talk to you guys then. And always remember, keep pounding. Like the video. Goodbye, folks.